What's up, everybody? Welcome to our house. This is the Screenplay Podcast. I am your host, Evan Grenis, and with me, as always, is PGA Tour player Andrew Novak.
How's it going, everyone? We're getting to the end of the season. It's part of the season's really exciting, and happy to be back talking another week of football.
Yeah, so you were in Hawaii last week, played the Sony Open. Where are you this week?
I'm in Palm Springs, California, kind of in the desert, and we got another tournament this week.
A lot of warm weather destinations.
Yeah, they try and do that for us this part of the year. I'm very glad I was not playing a golf tournament anywhere near Kansas City this past week.
Yeah, for real. I was like cold just watching it. I mean, we'll get into it, but yeah, that
Yeah,
was just tough to watch. Crazy week in football. Wild card weekend, we had some crazy upsets. Games played in negative 30 degrees. Coach movement everywhere. We're going to get into all of it. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at screenplay_podcast. New episodes every Wednesday, 8 a.m. We're going to start off Monday night. Tampa defeat the Eagles 32-9. Wow. Where do you even start with this one? The Eagles started the season 10-1. They may have even been number one in our power rankings at some point. But they lose 6 of the last 7 games and got blown out by the Bucks on Monday night. This team, they had no chance in this game. It was like they gave up. You knew it was over in the first quarter. 0-9 on third down, 42 rush yards. Something's not right in Philly, and Nick Sirianni is taking a ton of the heat. You think he survives this?
I do. I know Philly moves on from their coaches quickly. And the end of the season really has been a disaster. I think they might have been first in our power rankings 2 separate weeks, actually.
Yeah.
They really were solid at the beginning of the year. They looked like the normal Philadelphia Eagles. We did talk about they had had some like offensive woes kind of early in the year. They were still winning games, but like kind of there was some lack of explosiveness. And yeah, I don't know. The offense has really tailed off at the end of the season now, and the defense has just been absolutely dreadful.
That
Um,
defense against the Bucks looked so bad. I mean,
yeah.
running into each other on the
Well,
crossing routes there, like we're in the
the
playoffs. That
tackling,
type of stuff can't happen. 157 yards
yeah.
after the catch.
Yeah, the
That is
tackling was like some of the worst I've ever seen from an NFL team. That's like bad teams in college maybe tackle like that. And then also you got to factor in Baker threw for 340 yards, but Mike Evans had 2 separate bombs basically go right through his hands. I mean, it could have been 400 yards for
30,
sure.
32-9 could have been 40-9.
Yeah.
40. I mean, like the Bucks could have won by more. I'm not with you on Sirianni staying though. I think they get rid of him. The main reason why you get rid of a coach is kind of when they've lost the locker room, and that's what's happened here.
Yeah.
The team, I don't want to say they gave up, but they kind of gave up against
Yeah.
the Bucks.
The leadership is
Yeah,
in trouble right now. There's
J-
not an identity, there's not a leader in that
Jalen
locker room.
Hurts like didn't give him any vote of confidence at the podium after. Um, I mean, if I feel like Nick Sirianni would stay, but there are so many good coaches out there right now. Belichick, Mike McCarthy might be out there, Vrabel,
Mhm.
Harbaugh. Like there's just so many good options that are better than Nick Sirianni, which is why I think they are not going to stay with him.
I think he gets away with it. They had a great year last year and they still made the playoffs this year. I think he gets away with it with the whole like fire both the coordinators move and then reload and then you buy yourself 1 extra year sort of thing to like get right.
Yeah.
That's how I think he avoids it. But it is also the Eagles. They have moved on quickly before. I would not be surprised to see him gone either.
Yeah, I mean, like overreacting would be like, okay, they had one bad game and they lost, and we want them out of there. But this isn't overreacting. This is like for half the season, they have
Hmm.
been terrible, and it's getting worse and worse. The longer
Yeah.
that Shane Steichen's not there, the worse it gets.
Hmm.
I just don't see a way out of this for
Yeah.
Sirianni. Yeah, I mean, there's just too many good coaching options out there right now. Let's turn over to the Bucks side of it. So, like you said, Baker, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Baker looked really good. Obviously, 157 yards after the catch really pads your stats a little bit, but still clean game. Really turned his career around down there
Mhm.
in Tampa.
Yeah. He's hit his stride in that offense. Obviously, him and the OC there have really clicked. He's got, pretty good weapons around him. I wouldn't say like it's anything game breaking. Godwin and Evans are great players, but I mean Evans having this late resurgence, he's always been solid, but I mean he's been fantastic this year. And Baker's just basically, I don't want to say he's been a game manager, but like he's just getting the ball to his guys. He's making big time throws, and he really has not been turning the ball over, which has kind of been his big thing previously in other stops.
Yeah, I mean at Cleveland, Cleveland's loud. It was filled with pressure. He was expected to be the savior. In Tampa, it's a completely different feel. The fan base is not like the Browns fan base. They're a lot more chill. Media's more chill. Less
Cool.
pressure. They just had Brady. Brady left. They just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So it's really like, hey, Baker, like go see what you can do. Like we have no
yeah,
expectations. Like if you get to the playoffs, great. If not, like we don't really care. Like
yeah.
it's just a lot
Well,
more
and that's
relaxed
he
environment.
talked about like in Tampa Bay, he can kind of freewheel a little bit more. He can be more of himself. Like I think before, like when he was with the Browns, there was so much pressure, like to be the guy, to be the savior, that he needed to kind of be a certain way or act a certain way. And now, like the pressure is kind of off of him like that. And now it's he was kind of playing with house money this year because although the division was super soft, there wasn't a whole lot of like high expectations for the Buccaneers this year.
Yeah, but you know what
So
does impress me about the Bucks is they had the most dead cap money this year out of anyone in the NFL, $80 million. So a team this year had $220 million to work with.
mm,
Tampa Bay had $140 million. So with the money that they have, like doing great things with it. But I was taking a look at this dead cap money, and like you'd think like the really bad teams, like the Panthers, the Cardinals, would be like at the bottom, but no. Tampa, Rams, Packers, Eagles are 29 through 32 on dead cap money, and they're all in the playoffs. Crazy.
mm. Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of that is, the willingness to cut somebody, to move somebody, to create a spot. Um, like if you're in a position like the Panthers where you're going to win 2 games, like why even bother? Just keep the
Yep.
player. Like you're not trying to win the extra game. So
Yep.
I'll see. I'd buy that.
All right.
Um,
So Baker Mayfield contract. What are you giving him? I mean, it's you got to keep him. He just won a playoff game,
yeah,
so I have
absolutely. You run with him.
no problem paying Baker for
Yeah,
a 3 year deal. What kind of numbers do you think we're looking at there?
yeah. I don't know. I think it could
So
be.
like Geno Smith,
They're still in
Geno
the playoffs.
Smith's
I think it depends like how
yeah,
long they keep going. Like
but like Geno Smith, for example, he's on a 3 year 75, so 25 mil a year. Like I'm
right.
assuming you like Baker more than Geno.
Yeah, I was thinking like I don't know, 30 a year, but each win he keeps getting tack 5 more mil on that going for you know what I'm saying? Like if he gets him to the Super Bowl, yeah, he better be getting 40 a year. That's what Daniel Jones is getting. You better like I know that's a terrible
I
contract, but
know.
like it better.
It works out well for a
Um
lot of quarterbacks when they look up there and say, "Well,
yeah.
Daniel Jones just got 45 mil. I'm better than Daniel Jones. Where's
Yeah.
my money?"
Well,
Like,
and the nice thing with that dead cap too, like going forward, like even if they do pay him, they'll still have a little bit of space as that starts getting opened back up. So,
yep.
they do probably like you got a couple guys getting a little older on that roster. There'll probably be some open space that way, but they have some good young talent on the roster too. So
Yeah, especially in a weak
I think three
division
years.
for the next
I think
couple of
3 years
years, they
sounds about
could
right. Maybe
yeah.
4.
All right, Bills defeat the Steelers 31-17. This game was supposed to be played on Sunday, but Buffalo got pounded with snow, so they moved this to Monday. Seeing the pictures and the videos of Highmark and the fans shoveling snow was pretty cool. Just had a
Yeah.
good time looking at that. But the Bills took care of business. They look really good. I mean, after week 12, McDermott was on the hot seat. The OC was fired. This team was reeling, and we were saying how their Super Bowl window has closed. That doesn't seem to be the case. Allen looks like the best quarterback in football, and he has a date with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs next week to get into the AFC Championship.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Allen is looking really good. 21 for 30, 277 total yards, 4 touchdowns. Players like Josh Allen and Mahomes, I kind of feel like this is with, great superstars in every sport, whether it's like Michael Jordan, LeBron. Like the regular season just doesn't matter that much. Just get me into the playoffs and then I'll do my work. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like these superstars, like once they're in the playoffs, they shine and it's really obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. It's well. It's the the it factor. You know, if it comes down to the end of the game, like they're the guy that's going to take on that game winning drive. They're the guy that you got 3rd and 5. Is going to find a way to get that first down, whether it's throwing it with it or with his legs.
I mean,
And then
it's
I think
so
this,
hard to get Allen down.
yeah,
Like
and
those guys just can't get him
yeah,
down.
it's in this type of or this part of the year too fits him so well. Like this cold weather, like you don't really want to tackle anybody. It's late in the game, you're tired, and all of a sudden you got this guy 6'5", 240 just running at you. Like
Yep.
you're not stopping it. Like he's falling forward. He's getting an extra 3-4 yards. Like he's
Every
just built
time,
for this. He just pops
every
right back
game,
up.
he has at least one or two runs where he
Mhm.
just pulls off way more yardage than you're expecting, gets
Yeah.
that extra couple of yards. Obviously, this week it was the touchdown run, but last week
Yeah.
he had like a 3rd and 13 run that he got it
Mhm.
at the end. Yeah, he's just built for this playoff cold football, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we've been calling him Superman for weeks, and he just keeps proving that right.
yeah,
Like he just is truly taking over some of these games, and the Bills are okay with that. They're like, look, you are our guy. Go win us this football game.
yeah. I mean, he might be, and he's not going to win the MVP, but he might be the MVP, most valuable player of any team right now, him or Lamar.
Yeah.
But how about Pittsburgh? So they have some playoff issues. Their last four playoff games, listen to this. Their points allowed before they score. So the other team has scored this many points before they score their first points. 21, 35, 28, 21. I mean, you're going to lose every single
Not
one of
good.
those games. Like,
Yeah.
that can't happen. Get some offense going. Like,
Mhm.
bottom 10 offense the last 5 years. To win in this league, you need a quarterback and you need an offensive coordinator that are both good. The
Yeah.
Steelers have neither. It took till week 16 to just figure out that way. Like our third string quarterback Rudolph can play. Like,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, and he's been solid. He hasn't been anything
yeah,
too like crazy. It's just the previously was just so bad. Um, I give him a little bit of pass in this situation just because they were like the fact they even made the playoffs. I think was a win this year. Like this team was definitely in shambles for like 2 months. I thought, and they just like kind of pieced it together.
yeah, but they have so many weapons on this team to be just losing in the first round every year. I think the big issue is the quarterback. Kenny Pickett has, I mean, obviously he didn't play this week or the last couple of weeks, but Pickett has 26 starts and 13 touchdowns. Come on.
Yeah.
What is that? Like, you're in the same division as Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Lamar. Like, you're by far the worst quarterback in the division. You have basically no OC. I don't think Mike Tomlin is the issue. He's a big hot topic this week. Um, just being on the hot seat. I don't think he is at all. I don't think Tomlin
So
needs to go. But
so is Kenny Pickett the seventh best quarterback in that division?
who is 5'6"?
Burrow, Burrow,
Jake
Browning,
Browning.
Lamar, Huntley, Deshaun, Flacco,
I can't put
and
Huntley above Flacco. Yeah, yeah. So Kenny Pickett is
all right,
legitimately
Mason Rudolph.
the sixth or seventh best quarterback in their division. So they're gonna have a hard time moving off of him too. Local kid, played at Pitt. So I think they need to
Yeah,
figure out that offense out because they have pieces.
they
But
they might be a free agency candidate. Maybe I don't know. Be a really weird fit, but like a Russell Wilson, I'm not sure I like that fit at all.
yeah, I don't
Um,
know. I mean, defense used to win championships, not anymore. Like you got to be able to go out there and put up 38 points on a given night when you have to, and
yeah,
Pittsburgh can't do that.
yeah. I mean, I think your defense can carry you, but like if you can't get to 20 points, yeah, you're gonna have big
Yeah.
problems.
So next week, Buffalo and Kansas City. Last two playoff matchups between these two teams. Kansas City's come out on top. But those were in Arrowhead, and this one's in Buffalo. At the moment, Buffalo is favored. What are you
Mhm.
thinking about this game coming up next week? I mean, this has got to be like the game to watch.
Yeah, whenever these two teams face, it's always a good time. It always comes down to the end. I'm sure this week's going to be no different.
Yep.
It's going to be a close game, and you know, I think with the spread being 2.5, it's basically a toss up. Other than the Bills with the home team, if you
Hmm.
remember, we're Kadarius Toney lining up off sides from this being a game in Arrowhead.
Yep.
So like that mistake right there, like I feel like that's a big difference being the home team in this game, having
If
that
this is
kind of
at
advantage.
Arrowhead, it's probably Chiefs minus 2.5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I think these teams are like super evenly matched. I definitely like. I think Josh Allen's been playing a little better than
So
Mahomes
this
this
is
year.
this is an interesting stat though. So Mahomes as an underdog in his career, 8-1-1 against the spread and 7-3 outright. They're playing in Buffalo. Not
Hmm.
sure if I like the Chiefs this week, but that's a pretty crazy stat as an underdog.
Yeah,
7-3 outright and 8-1-1 against the spread. That's hard to go against.
yeah, for sure.
And the Chiefs have only allowed 30 plus points once over the past 2 years. Like
Hmm.
their defense is solid, and that was in the Super Bowl, and they won. So, I mean,
Yeah,
if Buffalo, this is going to be a low scoring game. I don't see Buffalo or
yeah.
Kansas City either putting up 30 points. I think if you can get to
I think they.
if you can get to 24 points, I think you might win this game.
Yeah, I could see both teams kind of beating up on each other. A little 24-21, something late,
I like
maybe
that.
coming down to the
24-21,
field goal
field
at the
goal to
end or
end.
something
Yep.
like. It's going to be back and forth. They're going to be beating each other up. I would not be surprised to see the run games getting really um, focused on by both offenses. It's going to be a huge game, and I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Lions defeat the Rams 24-23. Great story here. Happy for Goff. Happy for the Lions getting a playoff win. Stafford, was traded to the Rams a few years ago for Goff. And Goff proved that, he might not have been good enough for LA, but he is good enough for Detroit.
Mhm.
The Lions are good, but it's obvious that, the Rams are a few players away from really contending for a championship. Sean McVay did a great job coaching this year, got them to the playoffs. Stafford's obviously a great quarterback. They found this Puka kid. They have a few pieces, but they need some more pieces if they want to make anything more out of their team than what they are now.
Yeah, I think their offense is where it needs to be. Stafford's playing good football. The offensive line's shown improvement. I think the wide receiver room's in a good spot. Running back Kyron's been great. I think it's just the defense. They got to get that shored up a little bit. Secondary, uh, probably another pass rusher as well. Um, but yeah, I think the Rams are a team that could definitely make some noise even next year.
Yeah, I agree. As long as Stafford stay healthy, I mean, I feel like he's
Yeah,
always kind of like getting banged up and just playing injured. Especially this last game, he played through it
yeah,
pretty good. Um, really good quarterback play this game. If you
yeah.
Goff, 22 of 27, one touchdown, no picks. Stafford, 25 of 36, 367, two touchdown, no picks. Really good quarterback play this game.
I don't I don't think it's a surprise that the best quarterback play in any game was the one that was in a dome where
Yep.
all these other games outside it was cold, gross. Um,
Yeah.
maybe some of these teams that are struggling to find a quarterback, Chicago, should build themselves a dome so they
Yeah.
can, help them out a little bit.
Yeah.
But
So the
anyway,
Lions are
yeah.
gonna so the Lions are gonna host the Bucks now. What do you think's
Mhm.
coming for this game?
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, man. Both teams, good offenses, clicking. I think we're going to see a lot of passing. Um, this is kind of the one game I feel like has like a little bit of shootout potential. Like,
The one thing is,
it
I
could
will
be
say
like
the Bucks defense is kind of like they can. They're pretty good.
I think their run defense is solid. I'm not entirely sold on their secondary. I feel like they were able to just kind of blitz the crap out of Hurts, and he was just like out of sorts.
They blitzed, yeah, a
I
lot.
don't think you're going to be able to do that to Goff. I think he'll get it out quickly.
Well,
I
their
think
O
Ben
line's
Johnson will
probably a
adapt.
little, better
Yeah,
too.
I think they're gonna. I think Detroit would be able to get into the screen game, beat you up like that. Like, I think they have like more answers than. I have more faith in Ben Johnson figuring that out than Brian Johnson with the Eagles,
But yeah, I
basically.
agree. High scoring game. Both teams have weak secondary, so I expect to see a lot of over the
Yep,
top play.
yep,
Especially indoor in the dome. So should be fun to
yep.
watch. All right, Packers defeat the Cowboys, 48-32. Honestly, that score is a lot closer than what the game was. But oh boy, I mean, nothing excites me more than the yearly tradition of the Cowboys leaving the playoffs early and the media going crazy because this was their year to win it all. It's the same
Hmm.
thing every year. And you know what? The same thing will happen next year and the year after that. You know why? Because Jerry Jones. What owner walks into a locker room post playoff game to let the team know that this is unacceptable and then that they need to win? That's what he did. What owner, I mean, has press conferences after each game on the radio constantly? This team will never succeed with an owner putting that type of pressure and shenanigans on the team. Like, I don't care who there's a ton of pressure. I don't like what Jerry Jones is doing. I think it's just too meddling of an owner, and I think that's why that the Cowboys struggle. But okay, I'm done there. I'll give Green Bay some credit. Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, the Green Bay Packers. They came into Jerry's world and just blew the Cowboys away. I think what were they up 27-0 to start?
Yeah, straight out the gate. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't let that happen. Just things are looking pretty good right now for the Packers and not so good for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm not like overly surprised. We talked about this as like being a possibility. Like we knew Dallas was good at home, but like also Dallas in the playoffs is like always, you know, could be a
This
nightmare, and
it's what they
that's
do.
what happened. Um, it's crazy if you told me Dak would throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. This is not what I would have thought,
There
but
was so much garbage yardage in there in the
it
fourth
was for
quarter.
sure.
Just
No, it
like
was.
the Packers took their starters out, and then I thought it was funny that the Packers took their starters out, and then the Cowboys got it to within 2 scores. I want to say like 16 points, and then they put
Mhm.
their starters back in there. And they're like, "Oh shoot! Like actually, we might need to just like close this out."
Yeah,
Um,
they got a little close at the end, but no, it's. I think this Packers team is super fun, man. I think this Packers team's not really going anywhere. They're so young. The wide receivers, Jordan Love, like the tight ends, even like Kraft and Musgrave, both young. Like this is going to be a fun team for probably a good while.
yeah, they're the youngest team to win a playoff game since the merger in 1970. So that's what 54 years. So expect the Green Bay Packers to be good for the next 5 to 8 years with this.
We have some fun battles going forward because we have a team in the Green Bay Packers that have made it to the divisional round of the playoffs, and they're at least a year ahead of schedule. Same thing with the Houston Texans. They're probably
Mhm.
at least a year ahead of schedule, and they made it as well. So, for the youth entering the NFL right now, like there's some exciting times going forward. I think we're going to have, some. I'm not saying like dynasties, but like some teams that are going to be really good for a little while going forward. Getting to throw some haymakers at each other
Yeah.
these upcoming years.
I love how they're treating Love though. So when you look at the QB stats of this game, like completely different. Like you can tell one team knew what they were doing and one team didn't. Like Love 16 for 21, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 157 passer rating. They're not
Mhm.
asking him to do a lot, throwing 21 times. They've been running the ball very effectively, especially with Aaron Jones coming back. And their wide receiver core was ranked 28th to start the season. They are a hell of a lot better than that now. A lot of
Yeah.
young guys like Romeo Dobbs against the Cowboys was open on every play. Like there was just nobody around him. Yeah, 16 for 21. I love it. When you look at Dak's card, 41 of 60. If you are throwing the ball 60 times in a game, you are not winning that game. Like I don't care that you threw for 400 yards. 41 of 60, what are you doing? Like
Yeah.
there is
NFL
no run
teams
game.
don't. Yeah.
You are not on the same page as CD Lamb. Like if Dak wants to be paid like Patrick Mahomes, like you need to perform like Patrick Mahomes. Like
Mhm.
going into the wild card round and losing year after year is not it's not worth $50 million. Oh man, it's just do you think
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy returns next year?
I've been super on the fence about this. Um,
I wouldn't be surprised if
I
either one
I've talked.
happens.
There's a lot of Dallas fans on the range out there, and I've kind of gone up and down, asked some of them their thoughts, and it's like pretty split. Like I could see it kind of going either way. I could see Jerry being like, "Screw this, I'm you know going and getting somebody else," because there are so many good young minds like that you could go get. Like I think a Slowick like from the Texans would be a great pull for them. Like I feel like that could fit really well. But I also could see, they've won what 12 games 3 years in a row, I think it is. Like they're not losing regulars. Like they've been good. They've been good teams every year that just can't figure out this playoffs thing. So I've kind of gone both ways. If I had to guess, I think he's probably back next year. But I also like would not be surprised to see him gone.
Yeah, I think Jerry Jones just needs to look in the mirror and take a step back and realize that he might actually be part of the problem here. So the Packers win this game. They'll face the 49ers next week. Packers are statistically the best first quarter team in the NFL. They don't have a single turnover in the first quarter all year. And the one problem that the 49ers tend to have is if they fall behind, they struggle to catch back up. So
Mhm.
if the Packers are the best first quarter team and the 49ers struggle to catch back up when they fall behind, the Packers, like, this is a matchup where the
Yeah,
Packers could do like, what if the Packers go up 10-0? It's not a lot, but 10-0, and you're
yeah.
like, hey, Purdy, like, this is a playoff game. We're down 10-0. Can you get us out of this hole? Like, that's kind of where it becomes scary. I think
Mhm.
whichever
Yeah.
team starts this game off
We
hotter is going to win.
we've seen Purdy spiral with the turnovers too in a game where he got behind and starts forcing things. Like I think that first drive is going to be huge. I honestly like this might be one of those situations where if you're the Packers and you win that toss, you're taking the ball. Like
That's what
you
they did
know,
against the Cowboys. Teams don't do
hmm
that. Teams don't
we
win the
it,
toss and then take the
we
ball.
talked about that. We talked about that earlier this year. How similar the Cowboys and 49ers splits were from playing ahead and playing behind. And yeah, the Packers absolutely did that. And I would not be surprised if they did win that toss, if they went ahead and did that um, against the 49ers to, try and set the tone early, get up.
Yeah.
If you score a touchdown, force a turnover, and score again, like that is really putting the 49ers not in a spot where they want to be.
Yeah. I mean, I really do think the Packers have a chance against the Rams. I'm sorry, the 49ers this week.
Mm,
I mean, they're playing hot, and teams that come off that 2 week break, like, generally don't start off quick. They have a slow, sluggish first quarter. So we're gonna see
yeah.
what's gonna happen. Maybe that first quarter bet is a good bet this week, but yeah, we'll see. So the Chiefs defeat the Miami Dolphins 26-7. The story of the game was the weather. I was in Boston this weekend walking around outside. I think it was like 29 degrees. I was bundled up in so many layers. I'm just like, this sucks. And then
Mm,
you're watching that game and it's feels like minus 29. Like, uh, that's brutal. I don't mean, I was seeing people in the stands like shirtless. Like, I don't know how much alcohol you have to consume to be in minus 29 shirtless, but it's crazy. Miami had no chance at winning this game. The Chiefs were built for this cold weather playoff football. The Dolphins were injured, not used to the cold. Did not want to tackle. Like Pacheco running at the Dolphins defenders, like they just couldn't even take him down. You
yeah.
have a limited quarterback in Tua who just doesn't have a great arm for conditions like this. It was never set up for Miami to win.
Yeah, we talked about Josh Allen like not wanting to tackle him in cold weather. Isaiah Pacheco might be the one guy that'd be even less interested in tackling. Like it looked like he was enjoying that, just
Yeah.
giving out pain every time somebody tried to hit him. Um, yeah, it never really felt like, especially once the Chiefs went down and scored quickly, like that first, I think it was the first drive, like it was kind of like, man, it's just not going to happen for the Dolphins. They did hit that one shot to Tyreek, but outside of that long pass play, they like barely even strung any drives together. Like there was no flow to the offense.
Yeah. Tua
The
threw it
run
40 to
game,
40 times and didn't even reach 200 yards.
yeah,
It's,
the run game never really got going either. Like
yep.
we talked about this. Like obviously the run games were both good for both teams. Were going to be pretty important because of this weather, but like and Miami's run the ball really well this year, but it's been kind of like a finesse run game versus like the
Like a
power run game, which
power
I think
run
the
game, yeah.
Chiefs are a little better built for, and that showed to be a little bit more productive in this game.
Yeah. I mean, when the same thing with Josh Allen, I was talking about when the playoffs start, like Mahomes figures it out. Like, are they normally a 1 seed? Yes, but it doesn't matter. He's in the playoffs. He's going to figure it
Yeah.
out. They turned it on. Rashee Rice had his best game ever, I would say. 8 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown.
Hmm.
Even Travis Kelsey doesn't look like what he used to be. He had some really bad
Yeah.
drops, like two or three just really
Yeah.
bad drops. Like, I mean, he still had 7 catches for 71 yards, but this could have been a whole lot worse than it was. Next year, like, for fantasy purposes, Rashee Rice, I mean, I had him this year, but next year, like, he's going to be a real number one. I don't think
Hmm.
he's not like a first round guy, but like, if you can get Rice in like, some later third or fourth round, like, I think he's going to
I
be,
don't think I would be surprised if he ends up being like a third round guy because you have Mahomes who just had like considered a down year, and then you look at Rice's splits from the last 6-8 weeks when he's finally been getting like once he hit like the 70-ish% snaps line is like really when he shot up because he was always efficient earlier in the year, but he was only getting like 30-40% of the snaps. Now that he's gotten like the higher percentage of the snaps, his efficiency has still continued, but his volume's gone like through the roof. I would not be surprised to see him being like a second round guy because
You think it's that
he
high?
he's I think he's like a bottom tier wide receiver one
Yeah,
probably.
that's
Like
what I'm thinking. Like he could somehow just
yeah,
fall to the third or fourth round, like people not thinking about
yeah,
it,
I think
and
that'd be
he could
great
be a
value
steal. But yeah,
because you've got Kelsey potentially on a decline. You've got Rice and not a whole lot else, and you're assuming Mahomes probably has a little
he's
better
gonna
year,
get peppered like
right?
Keenan Allen next year. Like he's gonna
Yes,
be just
yes.
peppered all year. Yeah. All right, so let's move back to Tua for a second. What would you pay Tua? He's gonna want some money. Miami has the 22nd pick in the draft. What if
Yeah.
Penix falls there? How much money do you
I
pay
think you.
Tua?
I think we talked about this last week, and I've thought about it a bit. And I think basically you have to go to Tua. Like replacing Tua is definitely like a risk. Like you don't know if you're going to be able to get something that can um, replicate what he's done. But if it's at the cost of losing one of your wide receivers, like you basically need to tell Tua, look, we are paying you up to what we can afford to where we're going to be able to keep Waddle and Tyreek going forward. Because I think having both Waddle and Tyreek is more appealing than guaranteeing who you have at quarterback. Because if you let Tua walk, I don't care who you bring in, like somebody's going to be able to make it work with those guys. I think you would probably be the most enticing spot for any free agent quarterback as well if they're interested in making it work because you can say, hey, we have Mike McDaniel and these two freaks to throw it to. So I'm kind of sliding a little bit off of the pay Tua thing unless he's willing to take money to the point where you're confident in being able to keep the weapons to keep your system functioning properly.
Right. So I said this last week. I think I believe that Dolphin system's kind of like a Shanahan system where you can plug another
Yeah.
quarterback in, and it's going to be somewhat similar.
Yep.
I don't think Tua's effective enough in cold weather to just play well in the playoffs. They're going to have to like have a 1 seed moving forward, which is doable.
Mhm.
It's not out of the question. They almost did it this year. Um, if the problem is like Tua's gonna like this Daniel Jones contract screws all these teams because like
Yeah.
Tua's gonna want more than 45 because that's what Daniel Jones got, and I'm not willing to pay Tua anything that starts with a 4. Like it's
Yeah.
just not
Yeah.
happening. If Tua wants to take a team friendly deal that is like I don't
35.
know, like maybe like 4 year, 120 mil,
Okay. 30. Yeah.
like
If
maybe,
he,
but
yeah.
he's not going to want to take that.
So,
So my thing is maybe they're hoping that Michael Penix falls to 22 and they can grab him.
so what
Like
if it's not
something
Penix falling to 22? What if you're looking at Bo Nix? You still
same.
feeling bad about that?
Um, I don't think I don't know. It's a
Bo
tough one.
Nix,
It
Bo
depends what
Nix
the
is
it,
Bo
I know.
Nix gives me big time Brock Purdy vibes.
Yeah, I mean
As
it
far
depends
as
what the
like
team's looking
that kind of
for.
moxie, that kind of leader, like he's got a similar kind of game. He's got some mobility. He can make some throws. He might have a little bit better arm than Purdy.
Yeah, I just
Like
really like
Purdy
Penix's
makes the
arm
system work
beyond
fine.
on some deep balls,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I agree. I
I think with the
agree. That
Dolphins
yeah,
team, Penix's arm would work the best just on
I don't disagree.
yeah,
But with where they're drafting, like I don't think you can like guarantee like, oh yeah, we'll just be able to grab Penix. Like
right.
you if that doesn't happen and then you're like, oh crap, we got to go get Bo Nix, is it like, man, we really messed up, or you think that that's still
I just
probably
don't think the
better?
drop off from Tua to a rookie quarterback coming out is that
Mhm.
big. Is
Okay.
$30 million big? It's
Yeah,
just
I don't
not.
think
Yeah,
you're. I don't think you're. I'm not saying you're wrong here. I just so
yeah. So last game on the board, Houston defeats Cleveland 45-14. So the Joe Flacco story. It was cool coming back to the league, winning games, but that's all it was. It was a cool story. In 6 games, he had 10 interceptions. It's a lot. The Browns did not have a solid game plan to compete with the Texans. What CJ
mm,
Stroud is doing with the Texans offense and what D'Amico Ryans is doing with the defense, it looks special. Just
Mm.
Flat out, the Texans were a better team, not even close. 45-14. This is what we saw with Jordan Love. They gave CJ Stroud what he could handle. Same stat line, 16 for 21. These rookie quarterbacks, if you just give them what they can handle, have them make throws when they have to, like it works really well. 16 of 21, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Perfect numbers for a playoff game, what you want out of your quarterback. On throws 15 plus yards, he has a passer rating of 124. So when he goes downfield, he hits them. He was able to, dice up that Cleveland D pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this was pretty much a perfect game for the Texans. Um, like kind of everything was showing. Like Stroud was showing out. He really wasn't asked to do like a whole lot. They um they didn't have the ball a ton. They only ran 44 plays offense. But he was super efficient with that time, hitting Nico on deep ball, Brevin Jordan up the sideline. He was just kind of getting the ball to his players, and they were making some
Flacco
plays.
also
And
had what, like 2 pick sixes in a short period
so,
of time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what I was going to say. D'Amico Ryan, his defense, they had 4 sacks and then also 2 touchdowns, 2 pick sixes. Just huge day for them. Really showing out. Like this is a pretty complete football team, which is crazy because we've been saying all year they're a year ahead of schedule. And I still believe that. Like, they don't even have Tank Dell right now, who's probably their wide receiver one. I know Nico Collins. I mean, they're 1A and 1B, but like they're missing him, and it just doesn't matter. Like everything's still clicking. Like the offense has been efficient. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just so unbelievable what they've been
CJ
able to do.
Stroud
Like,
on his deep balls is just crazy accurate
yeah,
and good. I mean, watching him throw those things, like when he goes and launches 140 yards in my head, I'm like, it's already going to be caught. Like it's just,
mhm,
they're perfect. Seen it so many times this year. So
yeah.
where do you think Stroud stacks up in your QB rankings? Is he like, maybe a little over a month ago, we were saying how he was a top 10 quarterback. I think it's creeping closer to the 5 number. What do you think?
Yeah, he's definitely better than Bryce Young. So good job,
Well,
Panthers.
we got Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow. After that, I'm like, ooh, like CJ Stroud might be in that 5, 6,
Yeah,
7 number.
Mahomes, Allen, Burrow,
Lamar's
Lamar.
got to be in there. Like who
Uh,
else?
yeah, Burrow's probably fourth there. And then, yeah, like you can just start making arguments, like especially if they keep winning, like there's no reason not to. He's putting up unbelievable numbers. Um,
Like normally you would have maybe
yeah,
someone like Hurts in that category of 5, 6, but like he's been
yeah,
with
like
the
some people would
Eagles.
be,
He's been,
I
but
think
I mean
Justin
the way
Herbert, some people will be arguing as well.
Herbert's
But
so is good, but I got to start seeing some wins out of him. Like it's starting to get to the point where it's like, come on, what's going like, let's see a playoff win. Like
yeah,
I don't know. So the Texans are playing at Baltimore now. What do you expect this week?
I'm expecting a good game, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I love when you get to see good on good, like that Ravens defense, so good, and then obviously this Texans offense has uh, really been cooking lately. So I'm excited to see that. I think that's going to be kind of a new look for Stroud. He's definitely going to be challenged by them. They've had not 2 weeks to prepare because I guess they didn't really know who they'd be playing, but they've had some time to prep for that. Um, so I think it'll be really interesting to see how he handles, a situation like that. Like this was a home game for them, so not a hostile environment. They had that, but now they got to go to Baltimore. I don't know what the weather's going to be like, uh, but I'm super excited to see that. I think Baltimore. I think is the better team. I think Baltimore is the best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I think
So I'm
everyone
not really
does. Yeah.
expecting the Texans to win, but it's nice because the Texans are not really going in there. I mean, I'm sure the players are, expecting to win, but nobody else is really like, oh, Houston, you have to win this football game. Like,
Right.
if you don't win, like, what are you doing?
And
And
that's
so,
a dangerous
they get
spot to be when you're on house money
exactly.
in the playoffs with
Yeah.
nothing to lose. So
Yeah.
should be a good game. All right, so we are going to do our power rankings. There are 8 teams remaining left. So we're going to do playoffs remaining power rankings, top 8. At 8, we'll go Bucks. They have won 6 of their last 7. They are only 2-5 against playoff teams. They just faced a team that basically quit, but Baker is 2-1 in his playoff career. At 7, Green Bay. They've had no sacks or turnovers against the Cowboys. Youngest team to win a playoff game since 1970. Only team without a first quarter giveaway all year. And Jordan Love is playing great. At 6, we got Houston. They've won 4 of 5, 14 giveaways all year. They just don't turn it over much. Stroud's on fire, on throws 15 plus yards. He has a passer rating of 124. At 5, we got Kansas City. Miami was the perfect matchup for them. They held opponents to 20 points or less in their last 6 starts, and they are 9-0 when they score at least 21 points. At 4, Detroit, number 2 ranked offensive line. Goff, his last 5 games, 4-1 and 71% completion percentage. They got some great players, great RBs. They're looking good. At 3, Buffalo, 7-1 since Ken Dorsey fired. Allen, his last 5 playoff games, 17 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's a playoff machine. At 2, we got 49ers. They're top 3 in both scoring, offense, and defense. I'm a little worried that if Green Bay gets off to a good start against them this week, that it could be trouble. I want to see if Purdy can handle some playoff woes there if that happens. And then at 1, everyone's got them there is the Ravens. They crushed the 49ers when they played. Coming off a long rest, got Lamar for MVP, and they have beaten a lot of good teams this year. All right. Got a couple games. No more fantasy talk. So we're playing some games this week. This one's called Moving Day. Where will these coaches be landing next year? Staying where they are is an acceptable answer for this game. So let's start. Where will Belichick be next year?
I think Coach Belichick is your next head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. I think it makes a lot of sense. I know they've been linked together. They've been in talks, and I feel like that just kind of feels right for him.
Yeah, I think he interviewed on Monday with them, but yeah, very well could be. Jim Harbaugh.
I think Jim Harbaugh will also be going to the team he's been linked to, and that is the Chargers. They seem to have just a ton of interest in him. They've been going back and forth, and that's not really who I was kind of hoping would end up there. I was hoping they'd get, one of these young offensive minds for Herbert and really see what they could do, but I kind of get it. So, yeah, I think he'll be with the Chargers.
Pete Carroll.
I think Pete Carroll will not be head coach next year. I think he's going to, be in the front office for Seattle, working around that.
It's funny because he still wants to coach too, and he's got the energy
if he's
for
done
it.
coaching, but
Yeah.
I don't think he coaches this year. I
Yep.
think there's just too many solid options this year. I've got kind of all my spots written out here, and I couldn't really find a slot for him.
Yeah. Nick Sirianni.
I think he's with the Eagles. I would not be surprised if he's gone, but I do think he's with the Eagles still.
Mike McCarthy.
Again, I would not be surprised if he's gone, but I do think he's still with the Cowboys next year.
Mike Vrabel.
So I have it all written out here, and I either have him working TV or maybe the Carolina Panthers.
Okay. I would have
I think
liked to have seen him take over the Patriots. I'm a little upset about the Mayo hire, but
Yeah.
I don't want the fact
we
that they
talked
hired
about that kind
the
of.
fact that they hired someone who has the tag name of Bill Belichick Jr. does not excite me.
Yeah. He just, I don't know. I thought that made a lot of sense last week when we were talking about it, but obviously that didn't work out. And then with how I have everything shuffling on here, he didn't really make sense anywhere, except for maybe if Vegas goes a different direction than
Okay.
Pierce, which I don't think they'll do. But
No.
if they do, I think he makes sense there. And then Carolina, I think will get basically last pick of whoever's left because I think Carolina is the least desirable location. Carolina will have a couple other options, but I could see them going Vrabel. I know Tepper is very swayed by how interviews go. I know like interviews basically is what like swayed Tepper to really push for Bryce Young over CJ Stroud. So I think I could see Vrabel really crushing an interview there and being the Carolina head coach.
All right, and then last one is Mike Tomlin.
I think Mike Tomlin is still going to be with the Steelers. I think the fact he just got them to the playoffs is kind of a win this year. They obviously need a new offensive coordinator. They need to clean some things up. I think they need to just personnel wise, get some things fixed. It looks like the offensive line's finally coming around a little bit. I thought they were able to run the ball pretty well this kind of backstretch of the year at times. So I do see like some improvements there, but they definitely they need to upgrade quarterback and well, they kind of need to get just healthier, plain and simple on the defensive side.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with almost all of them there. All right, next game. This game's called Bake or. So I'm gonna give you Baker Mayfield or another quarterback, and you're telling me if you're taking Baker or that quarterback. For the purpose of this game, let's just ignore contracts right now, and just take it based
Mhm.
off talent. So Baker Mayfield or Dak Prescott.
Probably Dak.
Yeah, the fact that you had to think on that though, that wasn't like
Yeah,
a straight like Dak. You know, I mean,
Dak frustrates the heck out of me, but
yeah, I agree.
he's more proven.
Dak or Tua? Or I'm sorry, Baker or Tua?
Uh, man, you get Baker, Tyreek, and Waddle with how he's been playing. I'd probably go Baker right now.
Wow. All right. I think I know your answer here. Baker or Kirk?
You know I like Kirk, man. Um,
Yep.
Probably Kirk.
But the fact
That's
that you're
super,
thinking so
super
much on
close.
these is telling you how well Baker's playing. Because like some of
Yeah,
these a couple of weeks
yeah,
ago, you wouldn't have just been thinking on. You would have been straight
yeah.
firing. Like, yeah, Kirk.
He's making so it's not even just that he's like putting up good numbers and they're I'm watching the game. He's putting like the ball on the money, man. Like he had a couple, like I said earlier, like Evans had a couple 40, 50 yard catches that he could have had that honestly the ball was right where it needed to be. Evans just didn't quite make the play.
Hmm.
It's really impressive seeing him sling it right now.
All right, Baker Mayfield or Trevor Lawrence?
It's got to be T Law. I think
Yep.
obviously I've been super frustrated with how he's played, how that offense has really gone in general, but just off of talent and I mean I don't know if we're factoring youth in as well, but
Trevor's
I
got a
feel like
higher ceiling than Baker.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Baker or Gino?
Baker, yeah,
Baker or Derek Carr?
Baker.
And then I'm gonna throw a couple college guys in here. You taking Baker or Drake May?
Oh man, so if the Bucks had the second pick somehow. Okay, so I'll hit you with this. If the Bucks had the second pick and you had the ability to trade down from there, I would keep Baker and trade down.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And then stack picks otherwise. But in a vacuum, I like Drake May a lot. Man, that's a tough call for me.
All right, last one. Baker or Jaden Daniels?
I prefer Baker.
All right. With the can't last game, real quick game here. We're gonna play a game of Would You Rather, just because of Kansas City's cold weather climate this week. So, would you rather play in that negative 30-degree game or watch the negative 30-degree game from the stands?
Uh, well,
They both suck.
I'd probably bundle up as much as humanly possible and then just not have to deal with getting crushed in that
Yeah.
weather.
All right. Play in the game or take a 17-hour plane ride, not first class.
Middle seat, no screen, no phone, no nothing. I'll rip that flight no matter what. I don't care. No book. I don't need anything. I'll sit there for
All
17
right.
hours and enjoy it.
And then last one, this one's for Jeff. Are you going to play in the negative 30-degree game or do your caddy's laundry for an entire month on tour?
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a tough one there.
Uh, if it's this month, maybe that because we're not sweating much. But man, John Deere, some of those Midwest in the summer, bro,
Yeah, those humid weeks.
might play in the game. Ugh.
Yeah. All right. Let's move over to the playoff bracket. So we know who's in there. We're just gonna go straight up through them with no spreads here. Who you think are winning these games? So we got Green Bay and 49ers.
I think San Fran wins this football game.
I agree. Bucks and Lions.
I do think the Lions win this football game.
I agree. Texans and Baltimore.
I'm gonna take Ravens there.
I agree. And Kansas City and Bills.
Strictly because it's a home game, I will be taking Buffalo.
All
I
right,
think I
sounds
think
like
the
we
Bills
got
are
all of them the
carried.
same there. That's straight up
No
though.
upsets, but
Yeah, the spreads are quite different than that though. So let's go through it. Let's go through the lines. On Saturday, we got Texans at Ravens. Ravens are favored by 9. Packers at 49ers. 49ers are favored by 9.5. On Sunday, we got Bucks at Lions. Lions are favored by 6.5. And the last game is Chiefs at Bills. Bills are favored by 2.5. So we have been crazy hot. We both went 2-1 last week. I think we are saying, yeah, for the podcast as a whole, both of us, we've gone 15, 2-1 over the last 3 weeks. That is an astounding rate. I didn't do the percentages out, but what is that? Like, got to be up in the 90%. So not 90%, almost 80 something
80,
percent, 85%.
87%
Yeah.
hit on winners.
Pretty good. So let's keep it rolling. We're gonna bet. Normally we do 3 each. This week we'll do. We're each gonna take 4 games just because there are 4 games. So what are your bets this week?
So yeah, we're picking 4. I've got 2 that I'm keyed in on that I like the most. I will start with the Texans +9. I just think that's too much, man. I do think the Ravens win this football game, but the Texans are playing some good football, and I just think it stays closer than that 9-point spread. Stroud's been playing great, and yeah, I think we have ourselves a football game here. And then the other one, the other big spread, I also am going to kind of key Green Bay here +9.5. I don't know if they necessarily win this game, but they're playing entirely too good a football to discredit or to be giving this many points, basically. Especially a team coming off a week off. If they start a little sluggish, we've talked about how they've struggled coming from behind. If the Packers can get up a little bit early, I absolutely could see this, being a very close football game. And then my last 2, I will also be taking Tampa Bay +6.5. I think the Lions win this game, but again, I think it's super close. I think it's going to be back and forth. I think it probably shoots out a little bit and then just kind of ends up pretty good, pretty close football game. So I'll take Tampa in those points. And then lastly, I will take the Bills -2.5. That 2.5 is super nice because I would not be surprised to see this being a field goal right at the end to win it. So I'll take Buffalo at home there.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna say my bets. They're all the same exact as yours. Texans +9, Packers +9.5, Bucks +6.5, Bills -2.5. There was a ton of blowouts last week. Don't think it's gonna be like that this week. Packers +9.5 is way too many points. That's basically saying the Steelers were getting 9.5 or 10 against the Bills. That's the same line as that. It just doesn't make sense. The Texans and the Packers are just playing too good to be getting that many points. So yeah,
Mhm.
same bets as you. Lock them in. All right, that is it for this week's podcast. We will be back next week, next Wednesday, for the what is it? The championship round, AFC and
Yeah.
NFC championship round.
Yep.
Getting down to the end of it. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at screenplay_podcast. New episodes every Wednesday on all platforms. Good luck, Andrew, this week out in the desert. Anything
Appreciate it.
else?
No, that's it.
Uh,
Enjoy the football this weekend. It's going to be good.
yeah, leave some likes, comments, DMs, whatever. We'll get back to you. Appreciate it.
See you.